Okay, I'm at the Better Blokes camp with Rangi from Adelaide. He's a Vision Radio listener and he's got a great testimony. Originally from New Zealand. Kia ora, brother.
Yeah, kia ora.
Tell us a bit of your story, mate. How did you come to know the Lord at the age of 26?
Oh, gee whiz, this is a real biggie, but it's a goodie. The short story, because we only got a few minutes, folks. All right, so I was given up for adoption in New Zealand. The parents that adopted me, they didn't bring me up. I was dragged up. I was abused in every way, out on the streets at the age of 13, into wine, women and song. By the time I was 17, I found a girl I loved. She loved me. 2 sons later. And shortly after that, she took off from me because I was more interested in the alcohol and the drugs than other women, and that broke her heart. From there, that broke my heart. That experience just never ever got away from me. So I started roaming around New Zealand, getting into gangs. But my real pleasing, if you like, the real essence of what I was getting into was pubs and clubs. Now, I used to hang around bouncers. Now, I used to look up to them in my knights in shining armour, even though I was becoming a big boy. As you know, all Kiwis are big boys, and I was no exception, but yet I couldn't fight to save my life. And because of all the abuse I would cop from home, and because I didn't know how to fight, well, these bouncers, they would protect me if anything would go wrong. So along the way there, that was all good, and I started learning how to fight. All of it was bluff. I didn't have no apple in my heart to or for the fight, but I so much wanted to learn it, and the bouncers took great interest in me. So as I learnt the craft of being able to fight, one day they set me up against this guy. But as I was coming away from them, thinking what I'd do to the guy they set me up for, they would give them an excuse to pound his head. They were mocking and laughing behind my back, going, ha ha ha, there's our little rabbit, let's watch him cop it this time. Something indeed deep within me absolutely broke. It was so audible. And later on I found out that was my heart, an actual breaking of the heart. From there, I had no fear whatsoever. Everyone was my enemy. I've become very prejudiced, hated white people, hated even my own race. I was an outcast. I didn't belong to this tribe or that tribe, so I just didn't belong or fit anywhere. Along that way, I thought, well, I better get out of New Zealand, speeding up the story now, time's running out, come to Australia, land of milk and honey, and I started in WA. Everything was good. I was doing a nice life. I came when Bondi was doing the America's Cup, so lots of money floating around at the time. I even made it into the canoe on TV, rowing a Maori Waka, a canoe. But that was my last claim to fame there. I ended up getting kicked out of WA by the coppers. They said, don't come back in here, because I was up to too much stuff. Came to Adelaide. It's a sister city in Christchurch, almost the same. And you never poop in your own nest, but I did in everybody else's. Sorry about that, Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland. All's forgiven for me, I pray. Thank you. So lo and behold, coming back to Adelaide, I thought, right, what I'll do is I'll make a bunch of money. I knew some things. I knew how to do that. That's right, listeners, it was not legal, but I knew how to do that. Now, if I could get at least $500,000, go back to New Zealand, buy a little place and just fade away. Well, you wouldn't believe it. No, yes, you would. I ended up having an encounter with the Lord. But this encounter came in a very, very hard way. Not that the Lord gave it to me hard, it's that He used what was going on around me to again break me. But it wasn't my heart. That was already broken. It was my pride. So with that, in 3 months, I lost another wife and child. I also lost, I had the police chasing me. I had some other people that I'd stepped on their toes chasing me. I had nothing. I had nobody. I ended up in hospital. I died twice. And I had a cold. Yeah, that's right, a cold. But then, just when you think you couldn't get any worse, hello. So they decided, because I've got this rare disease on my legs, they thought, well, best thing to do here is cut them off. Now, with me, that wasn't acceptable. I'm an independent man, full of pride. I don't need any help. I do everything myself. And so what I'd done was said, well, this ain't going to happen. Entertained suicide. That looked very good. I can't live that way, I want to die. But during that time, a wee little old fella rocked up and unassuming, came up, started yakking to me. Next minute he wants to pray for me. Well, that's not going to happen. But lo and behold, here I am in hospital. I'm tweaked out on morphine, semi-unconscious. He starts praying for me. I thought, okay, and then off he goes. And he leaves me. Never ever seen him again. And this was at the age of 26 going on. So then he leaves out the door. I start feeling strange. And I mean, this was strange. Underneath the covers of the hospital bed, I throw them back. My legs are completely healed. Absolutely healed. Did that have anything to do with me coming to God? No. Not a thing. I thought, oh, this is great. Somebody prays for you. Bang, you're healed. So, of course, I asked for the $1 million prayer. Give me $1 million and I'll follow you. Well, of course, that didn't materialise. But a few days later after that, I needed somewhere to stay. I ended up at a church property. And on that property, they had what's called the Minister's Manse, a big old house with lots of rooms. And because these guys are Christians, give them any old story, they'll fall for it. And I come and give them the story because they fall for it. I've got a roof overhead, I've got a bed to sleep on, and I've got food in my belly. A couple of days later after that, the minister there has an Anglican church, but an evangelical charismatic. This guy rocks up to me, he's full of tattoos, he's smoking like a train, and he's a priest, an Anglican priest. I thought, that's weird. Fancy having a priest, a man of the cloth, holier than thou, smoking like a train, all tattooed up. He didn't fit the profile. He sat down, made me a cup of tea, looked into my eyes, and he said, hey, don't you think it's time to cut out the bull dust? I thought, you what? How dare you speak to me like that? So I geared up, I was going to hammer him, absolutely hammer him. And he started picking out everything in my life. That amazed me. How could he know my life? I don't tell anybody nothing. And then shortly after that, he starts telling me about Jesus. I thought, no. I con people, they don't con me. I just got conned. So I wasn't too rapt about that. So I geared up ready to hammer him because I was absolutely furious. How dare he con me into this Jesus freak stuff, this churchy stuff, religious stuff. That's not going to wash with me. Lo and behold, he said, look, you don't got to sit there. You can get up and walk off any old time. It's a free country. So I thought, oh, look, I smashed a chair over the table, flipped up the table, started walking out. And he said, let me ask you one thing before you walk out of that door. I thought, oh, this is it. Third time, you're not going to get away with it. I'm going to hammer you this time. Turned around, chip on both shoulders. And I started walking toward him, knowing exactly what I'd do to him. He looked at me and he said, I love you. I went, you what? Now, we know some ministers are in ill repute, but he wasn't one of them like that. What it was is there's a voice within him, and when he said that, it called out my name and it drew me in. And these words came up and came across and came into me. At that time, I had to face, and it was the hardest thing I'd ever done, was to face myself. I hated myself. I was full of ego. I was hurt. I wanted to be wanted. I wanted to fit in. Wanted to be needed, accepted. I had all the opposites to all of that. The most of all, I wanted to be loved and cherished, even for my faults. Well, I had that encounter with Jesus. He came in, and I didn't have to have a wash before I had a bath. He just accepted me. Jesus is a friend of the sinners. He actually even done that with Judas. And we find that because what happened when Judas sold him out, and the identifying part, so the soldiers would know who Jesus was, he said, I'll give him a kiss. So be careful when someone comes up and kisses you, unless it's your wife, you're okay there. So lo and behold,